Yeah, as a child, I'd always been intrigued by martial arts. Never so much the meditative side of things. I got into that later, but I was always fascinated by it, watching movies and seeing martial art techniques and things, and it always kind of inspired me. However, I came from pretty modest means, and we never really had the opportunity to go and learn martial arts at a young age. And so it wasn't until I was a teenager when I had my own job that I was able to go and start up at a martial arts academy. And it just stuck with me. It was something that I really enjoyed. I came from a pretty small town. There's about 4,500 people in the town that I grew up in. And I just knew when I graduated high school that I needed to get out. I needed to do something different. And so I joined the Marine Corps. And through the Marines, I continued to practice martial arts. And when I got out of the Marine Corps, I moved up to Portland to go to college. And I had had a few years at this point of doing martial arts, but I met an instructor here in the Portland area who really opened up my eyes to a lot of different things. And I started getting into the Muay Thai and the Eskrima. He focused on boxing was his main thing, and he worked out at this gym that I used to go to, and at a boxing gym, if you're not too familiar with it's a lot different than your traditional style fitness based training in that it's not where you'll have a group of students following an instructor. It's more like there's four or five coaches running around the gym, and each one of those coaches might have a handful of fighters that they're working with. And this one particular coach was very well known. He'd created national and world champions. I really wanted to to spend some time with him, but he wasn't looking to take on any new athletes at the time. And so I would always show up at the gym when I knew he was going to be there and try to get him to notice me. I'd work hard. And after following him around for about 4 months, he finally started giving me some tips and helping me out a little bit and showing me a few things. And, every time he taught me anything, I always treated it like it was gold. And, I spent time training and working really hard at it. And after about 2 or 3 weeks of getting to work with him, he told me something that changed my life forever. And that he said, if you really want to be a good boxer, you should start doing meditation and Tai Chi. Well, I was this 19-year-old kid who didn't know much of anything, thinking, isn't that for like old people in the park? How's that going to help me be a better fighter? And I had a lot of respect for him though. And so I decided to take on the practice. And not only did it make me better in the ring, but it started changing so many other areas in my life. And, through the years, I've been very fortunate here now running my academy for 32 years, and I've seen thousands of students come through the academy. And I've heard literally hundreds of stories of how the meditative arts has positively changed people's lives. And that's one of the things that makes me so passionate about trying to share the word of meditation and get it out there and get people practicing and living the life practice of the meditative arts because it has so many benefits to offer. I just want people to see that. And it's not the kind of thing, a lot of times people think that with meditation that it takes a lot of time, and it's not one of those things where you need to retire and go live in a cave for the rest of your life and meditate. It's things that you can do to integrate into your day-to-day activities with um, different focuses and different energetic practices, different breathing strategies, and you start to make it become a way of life. And that's where you really start to benefit from training in the meditative arts. If you're doing it like a hobby where you do it a few times a week, you're really missing out on what it was intended for. And so that was kind of how I got turned on to the meditative arts. And through the years, I've still stuck with the martial arts and boxing and Brazilian jiu-jitsu. You mentioned some of the arts that I'm doing, but I've always had a strong passion for the meditative side of the practice because it's always been fun as a coach to take an athlete to a competition, whether it be boxing or Muay Thai or jiu-jitsu, and have them do well and win some matches.